They then talked about Plastique's look and how amazing it was, and Naysha said that she was gagged when Michelle mentioned the lining of the outfit. Naysha then explained that the judges are sitting so far away from the stage, there's no way that the judges can see that amount of detail from so far away. But what happens is that because the queens are mic'd, the producers are always listening, and so if a queen says something in the workroom, the judges will get told to talk about it in their commentary. Naysha gave an example and said that when she was on the show, backstage, she once said, quote, "This hair, I'm not sure it's giving rock, I feel it's giving Dolly Parton." And then later on the main stage, Michelle's exact words were, "This hair is giving Dolly Parton." And Naysha joked and said, quote, "You effing B," and that they're always listening. Angeria then said, quote, "You do have to be careful about what you say." Naysha explained that on All Stars 8, Candy Muse came up with a trick that she taught to the other queens, which was, if you wanted to say something without the producers hearing, the queens would just keep tapping their mics on their outfits while they were speaking because it distorts the sound. But the producers got angry and yelled at the queens to stop doing it. There was then another VIP member question which was about the waiting period between filming a season and then waiting for the season to premiere, and is it different for the Queen's original seasons versus All Stars? Angeria said it was different for her because on season 14 they only had to wait for about 6 months between filming and airing, whereas for All Stars 9 they had to wait about a year. And Angeria joked that she, quote, almost forgot that she was on the season because it had been so long. And on her original season, you get to keep the momentum because they filmed the promos about 3 months after filming, and then 3 months later, the show aired. Whereas this time for All Stars 9, they didn't film the promos until almost a year later, so you, quote, kind of lose the momentum and you pick it back up. Naysha then explained how the promos work and said that how it works now is that you film the season and then production comes up with a theme and then months later they'll tell the queens what the theme is and the budget, and the queens then come and film the promos. So for All Stars 8, they wrapped filming in August and then in November they shot the promo. However, when Naysha was on her original season, which was season 8, the way it worked was they filmed the first episode and Naysha was eliminated. Then, the very next day, they shot the promos and the Meet the Queens. And at that time, Naysha was the only queen who had been eliminated because they'd only just filmed the first episode the day before. And during the filming of the promos, Naysha was in the same room as all the other queens, but the queens were not allowed to talk to her because she had been eliminated. Then, during the Meet the Queens, they asked questions like, quote, tell us, why do you win? And Naysha knew that she had been eliminated, but she had to answer all of these questions. And she had been, quote, bawling her eyes out hours before, and now she had to serve charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. Naysha also said that back in the day, the show used to do things like that, and they would just kind of figure out what they were doing with the promos because they were still figuring out how to do things. And in fact, when they were doing the promos for season 8, Acid Betty thought that Naysha was being, quote, bitter because she wasn't talking to anyone. But then Naysha turned around and told her that she actually wasn't allowed to talk to any of them because she had been eliminated. Angeria said she thinks that a lot of international seasons still do it that way, and then Scarlett said, quote, do you want to know? And everyone yelled yes. Scarlett said for season 11 and All Stars 6, they shot the promos about a year after filming the seasons, and it was, quote, very glamorous and it felt like they were at a resort. And they also had a famous art director, and they asked what music the queens wanted to play, and they had a fan going and it's your moment and your fantasy. But then for UK versus the World, she was really excited because they were going to London. But what actually happened was, the day after they filmed the finale, they told Scarlett that she was shooting her promo the next day and her call time was 4 AM. And then she had to get straight away on a plane. So Scarlett joked that she basically ended up getting on the aeroplane in her promo gown, and she asked if she had time to shower and they said no, and she ended up washing her face in a cold sink and then went straight to the airport. So it was literally the opposite experience of how it worked on the US seasons, and on top of that, it was also Scarlett's birthday on that day. They then moved on to the audience Q&A section, and an audience member asked if there was any behind-the-scenes drama on UK versus the World, because it always seemed that there was some underlying tension between Scarlett and the other cast members. Scarlett joked and said, quote, "Is it me? Am I the drama?" Just to quickly touch on this because I thought it was interesting, this line is clearly a reference to Scarlett's All Stars 6 Meet the Queens, where she said, "Is it me? Am I the drama?" and this moment went viral online. Scarlett did talk about this at one point during the viewing party and said that this line was not planned and she didn't realise it was going to go viral. She explained that the reason she said that was because they filmed the Meet the Queens for All Stars 6 before the season aired. So Scarlett didn't know how she was going to be edited or what was going to be shown. But during the filming of the Meet the Queens, the producers asked Scarlett if she was the villain of the season, and Scarlett was genuinely not sure why they asked her that question, and she thought maybe they were implying that they were going to edit her to be the villain. So when she said, quote, "Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama. Am I the villain?" She was genuinely asking those questions to the producers because she felt like they were implying that Scarlett might be edited to look like the villain because she hadn't seen the edit. And I thought this was just an interesting insight into this viral moment. Anyway, back to Roscoe's, and the question was whether there was any backstage drama or underlying tension between Scarlett and the other queens on UK versus the World 2. Scarlett said, quote, "Yes, there was tension, I guess. I don't really quite know why." She then added that it's been announced that they will be doing a Bring Back My Girls reunion at DragCon LA, so maybe they'll revisit that question then. Another audience member then asked Angeria what was the harshest unaired critique that Michelle or another judge gave them on All Stars 9. Angeria said that Chanel may have already said this last week, which she did, but during the makeover challenge with the firefighters, Michelle apparently said that they were, quote, "moving like senior citizens." And Angeria thought it was funny, but apparently Chanel was, quote, peed about it, and they also told Chanel that she looked like Tammy Faye, and apparently Chanel said that she was, quote, over it. And even their makeover partner was apparently upset about that critique, and him and Chanel were just sitting later on the couch looking really annoyed. Angeria also added that what Michelle said was that they were supposed to be pop stars, but they were actually giving, quote, pop stars at the nursing home. And finally, an audience member said that a lot of fans are complaining that Untucked is boring now because there's less drama. And so what do the queens think they should do to make it better? Naisha said that it's the show's fault, honestly, because, for example, on All Stars 8, they did an unofficial reunion on set during the Fame Games episode where they did the talent show. And all of the queens came in and sat on the couch, and it was, quote, drama and arguing. Apparently, Alexis Michelle confronted Candy Muse about lying and said to her, quote, "I should have chosen you because you're an effing liar." And they all went back and forth, arguing and shouting, but they didn't show any of it in the episode. And Naisha said, in her opinion, the reason they didn't show any of it is because nowadays, when there is drama on the show, the queens get a lot of hate online, including death threats. And the show has to be careful about protecting the queens' mental health, which is why they're now careful about what they show. Scarlett then finished by saying that the fans have a lot of power, and even if the fans think the show isn't listening to their feedback, Scarlett said they definitely are listening. And so if you have an issue with anything, make your voice heard and they probably will listen and they may change things.